Alice Powell. Whoa. Jamie Chadwick.
Jessica Hawkins. Naomi Schuh.
Welcome to W Series.
Oh my God!
Jamie Chadwick wins the first W Series race.
Corners relative to the last event, so this is going to be a cracker.
Well, we've got 5 Brits on the grid, 5 drivers that it's a home circuit, and David, also one of the Brits can win the championship today.
Yeah, it's been, I think, a fascinating battle for this championship, and you know, Jamie Chadwick sits there top of the points, the person most likely, but Bike Visa has the speed, has the capabilities to win this event, and then it really comes down to the racing gods whether Jamie's managing to get enough points. It should be straightforward for her to do so, but in racing, there's no guarantees.
Straightforward as long as the maths works in her favour. She has to finish on the podium, and then there's lots of other little things that might happen. But Bajkowicz could still take the championship from her, but it would have to be a very bad day in the office. So a 25-minute qualifying session to find out who will be on pole position for the final race of the W Series season. W Series comes down to this, DC. This is what we've all been working towards, and here it is. We're at Brands Hatch. We're ready for the final.
Yeah, I think it's great. The sun is shining. It's a challenging racetrack. It's been a challenging short season of 6 races in this inaugural W Series Championship, but I think it's been a great proving ground for the talent that's out there. And, well, cream rises to the top, and we've, well, actually, in fairness, I just stopped myself there. Someone that has had a bit of a rough ride, but has been showing great pace here is Emma Kymäläinen, quickest in the damp, quickest in the dry free practice session. Missed out on a couple of the races because of an injury, but she's back and got a point to prove.
She did. She missed out on the... Well, she raced at Hockenheim, and she missed out on the next 2 races. After that, she came back for race 4 and did pretty well, ending up 5th. And then last time out in Assen, she won. The green flag is being waved. This qualifying session is underway. 25 minutes to see who will set the fastest time around this circuit. And like you say, DC, it is quite a challenging circuit. It's surprising when I walked it how steep it is.
Well, the elevation change up into Druids Corner, it really is a fantastic, fantastic racetrack for the driver. Paddock Hill Bend, the first corner, late apex, high-speed, bumpy entry before dropping down into the dip before rising up on the brakes into Druids. So it takes you on a real roller coaster journey, and it's, as I said earlier, not for the faint-hearted. This is a short qualifying session. Track temperature is in good shape, so despite the fact that you can see this particular formula doesn't have tyre warmers, they won't have any issue getting these tyres switched on. Question is, how many laps can they get out of those fresh tyres before they start losing their performance? And you know, the more experienced, the more confident with the balance of their car will deliver the lap time.
Every driver is pretty much now out of the pits, as we see Sarah Bovey and Jamie Chadwick there just leaving. Jamie Chadwick in the purple this weekend, the purple livery car. Bajkowicz, meanwhile, is in the, she's in the black grey coloured car. So look out for that car number 95. Jamie Chadwick is car number 55.
Yeah, and interestingly, as you mentioned there, Jamie the last to go out. So strategically, they can go out at any point they want. They obviously have their own race engineers that they'll set a strategy, but Jamie feeling comfortable to let everyone else go out and you know, find the way around the racetrack. The risk in being right at the very end, of course, is if there's any incidents or yellow flags, anyone goes off, then it can disturb your lap. So I personally would prefer to be out near the front. But anyway, that's the strategy she's gone with.
Alice Powell is actually coming out now, so she's actually hovered a little bit longer. But Jamie Chadwick, as you say, David, it's important mostly for the championship when Jamie Chadwick is going out, as it is only Chadwick and Visser who can win this afternoon. And it's a funny one as well, isn't it, Brands Hatch? Because yes, it's important to get pole position. Of course it's important to get at the front, but actually with a circuit like Brands Hatch, because it's so steep coming into the Paddock Hill Bend and up towards Druids, it can not be a disadvantage, because that's a ridiculous thing to say, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. It is a racetrack where, especially in the height of the UK summer, you can get changeable weather. And the nature of this racetrack, as we saw in free practice, if you do get a few spits of rain, out the back of the circuit. In many ways, it's not always an advantage to be the lead car because you're the sort of potential crash test dummy for those that follow. But I think that the nature of this racetrack, the history of this racetrack, is not lost on these young competitors, and it's a great opportunity for them to round out the season here.
So also in the pit lane at the moment is Jessica Hawkins, as well as Ted Kravitz, who's in the pit lane for us all this weekend. And Ted, are you anywhere near that car 21 of Jess Hawkins, her home circuit here?
Hello Claire, hello David, hello everyone. So this is it, the final qualifying session of the season. And the pit lane is electric, with the drivers just looking for that final chance to impress on single lap speed. And as I see right down in front of me, lots of drivers coming in, just changing tyres, Claire. So lots of drivers just getting a feeling for the circuit. It is, as you've been saying, very difficult to overtake here. So for the championship contenders, for Bajtska-Visser, for Jamie Chadwick, they do need to make sure that they're somewhere on either the front row or the second row, because once you get into the third or fourth rows, it's very, very tough to overtake. But we'll be having a look at letting you know who's doing what down here as the session goes on.
Tell me, Ted, have you had any intel from the engineers as to what we would expect the life of these tyres to be for qualifying? You know, historically, some tracks give you one lap and then you start to drop off. Is the feeling here they might get more than that one magic lap?
It certainly is, yes. I think we're looking at a good 3 or 4 laps. It is a circuit, of course. The long circuit, the Grand Prix circuit, does work the tyres moderately hard. That's why we're seeing, David, a lot of people coming in and putting fresh tyres on right now. So pretty much every driver saved a set of fresh tyres from this point on. Some will have another set. They don't want to keep that for the race itself. But yeah, I think we're looking at a good 5 or so laps of good life in these tyres.
So Jamie Chadwick is on a fast lap, fastest first sector. We'll start seeing the time start to tumble down, as we've only seen a 1:26 exactly from Koyama, and yesterday we were starting to see the 1:23. David, we'll start seeing from Emma Kymäläinen yesterday was a 1:23.3. So are we gonna start seeing the 1:22s today? It's warm and the track's changed a bit.
Yeah, normally the track evolution during a race weekend, it improves lap by lap as the fresh rubber of a race weekend gets impregnated down into the tarmac. So I would expect them to certainly have the potential. Of course, what you're also fighting against is when the sun does come out from behind the clouds, you can get the track gets to the point where the tires start to overheat. But I don't think with the relatively cool ambient temperature that should be an issue.
Well, Jamie Chadwick comes across the line now, sets the fastest lap of a 1:24. Still 2 seconds off Emma Kymäläinen's fastest from second practice. Sarah Moore sets she's nearly 2 seconds behind Jamie Chadwick's fastest time. Bajtska-Visser set the personal best in the first sector, but she's not better than Jamie Chadwick as Miki Koyama moves up to second. She's half a second behind Jamie Chadwick's fastest time. Emma Kymäläinen third at the moment, nearly a second off the pace. Sarah Moore moves down to fourth, and Sarah Bovey, the reserve driver who's not raced all this season, is fifth as it stands. Jamie Chadwick sets another fastest first sector. See how she does for this one. Again, I still think it'll be a couple of minutes until we start seeing the qualifying lap, rather, unless we see a red flag or something.
Yeah, well, that's always the clear and present danger, especially in a track like this, an old school circuit. You can see in the runoff area there at Clearways, the gravel trap. Now, a lot of modern Grand Prix tracks and racetracks around the world all have tarmac runoff, but I'm actually still in favour of gravel runoff areas, as Jamie Chadwick has also gone quicker in the middle sector. So purple telling us that she's the fastest competitor on track.
And she comes around now through the final corner onto the Brabham Straight, see what time she can set. And she remains top, and she's down in her final sector actually.
Yeah, she's obviously picked up a bit of a mistake in that final sector. Meanwhile, Emma Kymäläinen, currently third, has just gone fast as the ball in the middle sector. 4/10 down in the first, but she's now topped the times, so we are continuing that good form from free practice. So close though, isn't it? Less than a tenth separating the top two.
Very close. Emma Kymäläinen setting a 1:23.9, getting closer and closer into that 1:22. Who else is on a fast at the moment? Bajtska-Visser has set the fastest first sector and a personal best in the second sector. as she's coming around the final sector now. She's coming up past the Clark Curve. See if she can better her time in that final sector that keeps catching a few of the drivers out, actually. Emma Kymäläinen again sets the fastest first sector. It's hard to see a lot of fast times coming in now. Bajtskivisa unable to go fastest. She's a 10th off the top time of Emma Kymäläinen and slots in third. Jamie Chadwick still remains second. Emma Kymäläinen still set that fastest time, but she's on a fast lap now, David.
Yeah, this is definitely an improvement, and well, following on from what Ted says, you can see that the tyres are sort of finding their window. Well, it's not ideal, is it, in free practice to be jostling for position there, Emma Kymäläinen getting down the inside, and that will have cost her a little bit of time on this particular lap. Yeah, she's backed away in that middle sector, so she's going to have to go again. I'm trying to see the traffic she had. Car 21, Jessica Hawkins, so that's not ideal, and certainly you don't want to be holding anyone up on a hot lap.
No, so she's down in her final two sectors as she had a bit of traffic there. Not enough for bettering her already fastest time as it stands. Jamie Chadwick not so much on a fast lap at the moment. She set personal best first and second sector.
Yeah, again there, the car rolling through the apex of Paddock Hill. That, to me, is just not entirely fair. You don't want to be holding anyone up, car 19. So, well, that you just want to be offline if you're running slow. That's Marta Garcia, who's currently down in 17th, still to set a time. So clearly a bit distracted. I wonder if she's got any issues with that car, or whether it's just part of her strategy to run so late and try and set her time late in the session.
Ted Kravitz still in the pit lane. Update on Marta Garcia, Ted.
Well, the interesting thing, about Marta Garcia is that she chose to sit in the pit lane for the last sort of 5 or 6 minutes. She does have a new set of tyres on, so give it 40 seconds or so, and she should be starting the first of her quick laps as well. But at the moment, we've also got Sarah Moore, one of the 5 British drivers in the pits, as well as German Naomi Schiff.
Thanks, Ted. Emma Kymäläinen has backed off this one as well. She is down in both her sectors, comes across the line now, and unsurprisingly is 2 tenths down. But she wasn't on a fast lap, so maybe now that means she's going to push for this one. She's had a bit of traffic on a couple of her laps. Alice Powell has set a blistering second fastest sector here. Second sector fastest, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I knew exactly what you meant there. So, yeah, she's online. If she can do a good final sector, this could put her top of the timesheets.
Here she comes now, across the line very shortly. Let's see what Alice Powell can do. And she moves to the top on a 1:23.6, provisional pole position for Alice Powell at her home circuit at Brands Hatch.
It's close, isn't it? Again, less than a tenth faster than Kymäläinen, and Chadwick has just dropped down to 4th as Bajtskivisa has managed to get within a couple of tenths of the fastest lap. So Jamie's, well, got out of the blocks well, but now looking like she's going to have to dig deep and find half a second if she wants to be on pole.
She's down in both her first and second sector here, so this won't be a blistering lap from Jamie Chadwick. Bajtskivisa, meanwhile, sets her personal best in the second and third, and she's down in her first sector along here. Emma Kymäläinen still not going to better this one either, not on a fast lap. Jessica Hawkins, who's 7th at the moment, has set first and second personal best sectors. Emma Kymäläinen goes first.
Yeah, and as well as Hawkins improved.
Hoping to hear from Alice Powell there, not quite hearing the audio there.
Yeah, should we make something up?
What do you think, Alice Powell? So she probably said Emma Kymäläinen's just gone fastest by the most minute amount, David Coulthard.
That's 0.005. That is incredible, the difference between the two of them. So, well, in the end, though, it doesn't matter how small the time gap, it's how they'll line up. So as we get into the final minutes of this qualifying session, still an opportunity for those that haven't been able to impress this year to sort of scoop together all their experience and try and deliver a good final qualifying. But it's the sort of usual suspects, isn't it, that are battling out for the top 5 or 6 places. Jamie Chadwick down in 6th. Well, that's not what we expect from her. That's playing it a little bit too safe, but let's see if she can find some more time later in the session.
Well, Alice Powell doesn't have much to find. 5/1000th of a second in that one, David Coulthard. So
well done. I wasn't going to pretend to know.
Well, I was
how many decimal
thinking
points
about it.
that was.
Anyway, it's gone to now 5/10.
Oh, okay.
So it's fine. But
Kymmelainen,
half a
what a
second.
time.
Emma Kymmelainen has set a blistering second sector and has now set a 1:23. So she's nearly at the time in her practice. She's bettered
Actually
it by
quicker,
3/10.
That's right.
Yes.
3/10 faster than she did yesterday in pre-practice. So it's a great run of form for Kymmelainen. Now a very clear mark for everyone to aim for. Some of them will be sitting there looking at the timing screens going, I can't do that. Trust me, I've spent a bit of time in my career looking at timing screens thinking that's a time beyond my capabilities, but there'll be others who'll be going, okay, I understand where I'm losing time. They've got the benefit of looking at the data with their engineers, as Fabien Mollwend has just done a blistering final sector and leapfrogged her up into second place.
So Emma Kymmelainen has set the fastest time, as she did in second practice as well. Fabien Wohlben moves up from 5th to 2nd. She took pole position, remember, at Misano, and ended up on the podium, finishing 3rd. So she's not a quick driver. Alice Powell set her personal best first sector, so she is going to push again, because the last time it was the second sector that Alice Powell was fastest in. She's going to be determined to see if she can get on pole position. I walked the track with her, and she was she was talking about all the different parts where you can get extra time, and that second sector is obviously where she's very strong at.
Did you find that racing drivers walk the track quickly as well as drive the track quickly?
Really slowly.
Oh, did she?
Really slowly.
She was obviously taking in the beautiful Kent countryside. Right, who do we think is not going to be happy so far with 10 minutes to go? We've got Ardest bringing up the rear at the moment, so she's normally been a bit stronger in qualifying. So let's expect to see her make some improvements. A massive 4 seconds off the pace at the moment.
This is the first time we've seen these drivers get into the 122s. The European F3 cars were here a couple of weeks ago, and their qualifying was in the 121, 122 times. So we are now matching that with a 122.9 for Emma Kymmelainen. Alice Powell then making her way round up by Hawthorns, I think she is. Where is she at the moment? Jamie Chadwick down in 7th. So she's going to have to better her time. Emma Kymmelainen not on a fast lap here. I said that, but actually last time I said she was down in her first 2 sectors, and she pushed Alice Powell off the top spot. So Alice Powell down in the first sector. Let's see what Emma Kymmelainen can do now. She comes across the line. Can she better that time? And she doesn't.
Yeah, that is a surprise, actually. But let's just see if we've got any news from Ted down in the pit lane.
Yes, so just seen Bajtskevska come into the pits and set a new set of tyres. So as far as the championship contenders, guys, the top 4 are not in it at the moment, are they? And Visser needs to get the job done first, being ahead of Jamie Chadwick. She is at the moment. Chadwick, as we can see, is on a decent lap, not such a bad lap, but she's been stuck in traffic. She's had to let a couple of drivers in front of her go for their laps as Jamie Chadwick, and is now going to see if she can better her time. But Visser getting the better of Chadwick at the moment.
Alice Powell has set a 122.8. She's on provisional pole position once again. She set that blistering second sector once again. She's determined here to get pole position at her home circuit at Brands Hatch. Jamie Chadwick's moved up to 4th. She's still 6/10 off that fastest time of Alice Powell. Emma Kymmelainen moves down to 2nd. Fabien Wohlben 3rd. It's Chadwick who's 5th at the moment. Bajtskevska in 6th. It's very important between Jamie Chadwick and Bajtskevska. They're the 2 that can win this championship. There is 8 minutes left on the clock. What can they do?
Yeah, well, I was while you were quite clearly spotting that change of top times, I was following that battle between Chadwick and Visser. Visser is still behind Chadwick. Chadwick looking a little bit conservative in her performance, seemed a bit nervous when I was talking to her ahead of the final qualifying session, but crucially though, in front of Bajtskevska, who's currently in 6th place. But Chadwick has just equaled the fastest first sector. Hasn't bettered it, but certainly equaled it.
Oh.
So the battle is on.
She had a bit of a twitch there, just coming around Hawthorns towards Dingledale Corner.
Great name, isn't it? Dingledale. They were having fun when they named that corner.
And then from that, she's down in her 2nd sector. She had a bit of a twitch. That was probably the issue there. She's coming around the final part of the circuit now.
Yeah,
past
not good in the
Clearways.
middle sector. She's dropped half a second.
did. Let's see what this time is. See how much she improved in her final sector. And she comes across the line now, and she's down, but she moves up to third. Still half a second off that 122.8 of Alice Powell. She's still got 7 minutes left on the clock, so plenty of time to see if she can better that one and not make the mistake up towards turn 6. Let's see what she can do here as we're watching Esme Hawkey on a particularly good lap for her as well, in 5th at the moment. Another home racer here, another Brit. She moves up to 3rd. A good lap from Esme Hawkey. She's a half a second off and moves Jamie Chadwick down to 4th. So we've got 3 Brits in the top 4 now.
Esme using her local knowledge to good effect, and that is a big statement as we have this final qualifying session of the year. Esme, we expected a lot going into this championship, and there's been certain phases where a relative lack of experience, I think, is shown through. But big move there to get the car up into 3rd place. Crucially, Chadwick still in front of Visser, so does Visser have any answer? So it's really about the championship battle. You know, the pole position battle, of course, is important, but the championship is between these two.
5 minutes left, and Beitske Visser still 7/10 behind. Jamie Chadwick in front of her championship title rival as it stands. Chadwick, Alice Powell's just bettered her time, actually. Chadwick still remains 3rd, but 3/10 off that fastest time of Alice Powell. Emma Kymäläinen is still splitting the 2 Brits, with Esme Hawkey 4th, Fabian Volvend 5th, but it's Beitske Visser who needs to get better than 6th. So you'll see it replayed there, David, of Emma Kymäläinen.
That was Kymäläinen getting well out of shape, so I think we're going to have an opportunity to hear from her.
Okay, you've got some clear track now, so start to push. You're P2 by 1/10, P2 1/10 behind.
Well, make it up again. Do you
Yeah,
think?
I think she's going to say...
Not hearing that one.
I think my car got very sideways.
We're having a problem with the radio there, but she was told by her engineer she's got clear track ahead of her, so she's going to start putting in some fast times now. Jamie Chadwick, though, has set a fastest first sector.
A massive first sector, 3/10 quicker than Powell in pole at the moment.
Personal best as well into the 2nd sector. She's into the final part of the circuit now. She's heading down clearways past the Clark curve. Comes around the final bend at Brands Hatch, her home circuit. Can she put it on pole position? Can she win the championship from the front? Let's see what she can do here. She sets the fastest time of a 122.8. Provisional pole position for the driver that's leading the championship at the moment by 0.02 of a second.
It's incredibly close, but that is a big statement from Jamie Chadwick. She's been finding her feet during this session, building up, and then delivering when it counts. Now, with less than 4 minutes of the session to go, is there anyone has an answer for that? Powell and Visser are a couple of tenths down in the first sector. Kymäläinen's on a cooling lap. Esme Hawkey likewise. So doesn't look like in the next minute or so we're going to see anyone better that time. It's going to give them one final lap at the end of this qualifying session to see if they can topple Chadwick from the top.
A big statement from Jamie Chadwick. Will she start on pole position and go on to win this and take the championship? Just to remind you, she needs to finish on the podium, and she becomes the first ever W Series champion. Beitske Visser sets a personal first sector best and remains 4th. But it's that time of a 122.8. Alice Powell at the moment isn't on a particularly fast lap. Where's she at the moment? She said no, she's not. She's down, so she remains in 2nd as it stands.
Yeah, Alice Powell currently is out on track, just going up to Druid, so she's on a timed lap now. And this better be a good one, because she'll only get one further lap afterwards.
So Jamie Chadwick on a fast lap again here. Let's see if she can better her time of a 122.8, because it's such a small gap from Alice Powell, who will be looking to see with the last 2.5 minutes if she can better that and start on pole position. But Jamie Chadwick really at the moment is going to be looking to Beitske Visser, who's 4th, and importantly she's nearly 4/10 off Jamie Chadwick's fastest time. So here comes Jamie Chadwick coming round up towards Hawthorns into the forest part of the circuit. where she was complaining yesterday, actually, it was quite blowy. It's less blowy today, so she'll have less of the tailwind coming into that part of the circuit. She's coming up round now, Hawthorne Bend, Westfield Bend.
Yeah, Westfield speed average through the corner is 154 kilometres an hour, so as it drop down and then rise up into Dingle Dell, taking it 160 kilometres an hour. So the high-speed nature of this racetrack really testing the racers.
Here she comes then down the long stretch towards Clearways, towards Clark Curve, in front of her home circuit. It's Alice Powell, though. We're not following Alice Powell, but Alice Powell said a 1:22.7. Can Jamie Chadwick better that time? I don't think she can on that, and she hasn't. And again, it's swapped as 0.02 of a second between the two Brits. Alice Powell has set a blistering time and no fastest sectors. She was personal best in the final sector, but that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, just absolutely brilliant, keeping it all together on that lap. Not the fastest, as you say, in any one of the sectors, but managing to average out the racetrack, this big challenge. Really, really strong stuff. And then it looked like Kymmelainen had an answer, but she's had a bad middle sector, and that's allowed Esme Hockey to make it 3 Brits currently in the top 3.
Well, it looks like Jamie Chadwick's going to have to do something in the next 30 seconds.
You can see there, Kymmelainen off track. So there's where that mistake went in the middle sector. She was in a personal best first sector. She'll get one final lap at it. Does Kymmelainen have what it takes?
Emma Kymmelainen comes back into the pits. Jamie Chadwick, let's watch her, though, on the timing screens as Emma Kymmelainen's pulled back in.
All over for Kymmelainen.
Jamie Chadwick has set her personal best in that final sector. She comes round the final corner now. Clark Curve crumbs across the line. Let's see what Jamie Chadwick's got in her, and she takes pole position, a 1:22.4, 3/10 off Alice Powell's fastest lap. Let's see, though, what Alice Powell's still got in as she comes through the final part of the circuit now. I think she has. So, Alice Powell.
Yeah, she's finished a lap, so that's it. That is the final grid order for us at the top. We've got a great lap there from Chadwick, and, well, a fantastic top 3 if you're a British supporter.
So Jamie Chadwick will start on pole position, exactly where the Brit needs to be, exactly where she wants to be to win this title. Beitske Visser, the only other driver who can take the championship, is in 5th. We'll start 5th on the grid. Shea Holbrook there having a spin just at the end, so there's yellows out, so no one will better their time as it stands. So Jamie Chadwick will start from the front, and David, that is quite the warning sign for Beitske Visser.
Yeah, interesting strategy. Chadwick just slowly played herself into that session, but absolutely delivered a monster final sector. And this is a replay of Shea Holbrook getting off and over the grass and into the gravel, and she's going to have a little spin when she rejoins. That's what we just saw. But anyway, she's down the back. The real news here is our championship leader is in pole position, and her main competitor, Visser, is down in 5th place.
13 points between Jamie Chadwick and Beitske Visser, but it will be Jamie Chadwick in front of a home crowd who will start on pole position. She's going to be very excited about that, I'm sure. It'll be Alice Powell who's alongside her on the front row. Esme Hawkey, a brilliant qualifying for Esme Hawkey. So let's see how the grid lines up. Jamie Chadwick on pole position, just behind her Alice Powell in 2nd, 3rd Esme Hawkey, 4th Emma Kymmelainen after coming off the circuit in her final fast lap. Beitske Visser 5th, Fabian Volben 6th, Miki Koyama 7th, Moore, Hawkins, Piria round up the top 10. Very important there, Beitske Visser starting 5th. She is the only other person who can take the championship away from Jamie Chadwick. Marta Garcia starts 11th, Cook, Redest, Wood, Pepper, Bovey round up the top 16. Vivian Kesley, Megan Gilks, Holbrook and Schiff round up the top 20 drivers. So, David, let's breathe, because that was very exciting, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was a brilliant qualifying session. I think clearly the disappointed people will be Kymmelainen and Visser, who are down in 4th and 5th. but a great qualifying from Chadwick.
Brilliant from Esme Hawkey. She's raced around here in the Porsches, but she starts her best qualifying in third in front of her home circuit. Another one in front of her home circuit, Alice Powell. She will be fast off the line. Jamie Chadwick will have all sorts of Powell in her mirrors, but it'll be the championship leader, Jamie Chadwick, who has set the fastest time here ahead of the race this afternoon. And it's the right place to be, definitely.
Yeah, brilliant performance, strong end to this championship campaign, and it's just a question now of do the racing gods give her reliability? Can she keep it clean this afternoon? And it's looking a big ask now for Bajnska Visar down in 5th place to really secure anything other than 2nd place in this championship.
So it's going to be exciting. The championship leader starts from the front of the grid. Do make sure you join us for the race at Brands Hatch, the season finale of W Series. Will it be Chadwick? Will it be Visser? Well, Chadwick will lead from the front, so we'll have to find out then. 2:30 is the time to join us, and we'll see you then.